And welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. My man Anthony Schlegel here with us. Going to be a big bye week for the Buckeyes. Get a little time off. Ryan Day, we've talked about it. They've called it the improvement week. And we got a huge show for you today. Talk about some of the big games this weekend. We're going to have our Thoughtful Thursday that's always coming through with Tim Walton and everything he puts out there. We're going to have some questions from the fans, a little tailgate talk, the headlines. But I want to open up, making some time for us today, Buckeye tight end, Mr. G. Scott. G, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you guys for having me.
So we talked about this Ryan Day improvement week, early bye week. You've been doing this now for a number of years. You're a veteran on this team. I mean, what's this week kind of been like, and kind of take us through the first little part of the season here?
Yeah, man. I think on a bye week like this, I think the easy thing to do is to kind of kick your feet up and give yourself rest for the upcoming weeks. But I think the mindset that Coach Day kind of had for us was that everywhere else around the country, everyone else is having another week of work and they're developing. And so we want to kind of embody that same mindset. If we have to upgrade every single week, we can't fall behind. We want to be the best versions of ourselves for every single week. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to continue to grow and not take any steps back. Now, with that being said, there was an emphasis on taking care of our body and maintaining our health. But at the same time, we don't have any time. We don't want to set back. We're not taking our foot off the gas.
All right, G. So let's talk about Coach Bailey a little bit in the tight end room. We don't get to talk about it enough, but talk a little bit about him, how he's helped you in your development, how the unit room is. Just talk a little bit about the fanatical aspect that is the tight end room and y'all's goals, and then your own personal goals.
Yeah, I think Coach Key has done a great job. I think his whole mindset and the thing that he's brought to this team is this idea of toughness. That's all he wants us to do, is to embody toughness. Like, he'll even own some of our mistakes that we might make on the play. He's like, what I want you guys to do is play as hard as you can. I think us as a tight end unit, we've completely just embodied that. We just want to play hard. We want to play fast. I think this is the closest that this tight end unit has ever been since I've been a part of this program. It's great playing with those guys, and I think Coach Key has just done a great job from a leadership aspect on our team or on this unit, and X's and O's wise as well.
How about the lifting wise? I know Coach Key likes to get in there and lift with you guys. G, you're a dude that's probably packed up about 25, 30 pounds since you've been here. I mean, you enjoyed lifting with him and what all he's about?
Yeah, he'll come in there and he's not going to back down from no weightlifting. So we appreciate that as well.
Hey, talk to a little bit about the fanatical aspect, because he sends me signs. Like, he literally sends me clips of you guys, right? Because I got to work with you guys a lot in the off season, and I love your unit group. I see how close you guys are, and that's the thing I don't think a lot of people understand about college athletics right now. You can be highly competitive within the unit for playing time while also encouraging your teammates and wanting them to succeed. But it also goes back in the mindset of power of the unit and being fanatical at your craft.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's not like us as brothers in this unit. It's all our job just to work as hard as we can and to push each other as hard as we can. And then we have an understanding that the coaches take care of everything else. We're supposed to come out there and go as hard as we can, put the best things on tape that we possibly can, encourage each other as teammates. And whoever the coaches decide to have role, or where the ball goes where and how that all works out, we let them figure that out. We just show up every single week and we bust our tail. And however that looks on Saturday, we trust and we're prepared because we put the work in during the week.
That's awesome.
Ryan's talked a lot about this, the veteran nature of this group, G, and the ability for them to kind of sculpt and form the identity of this team. You're one of these veteran guys, who's grown through the program, made the position shift. Now Cade Stover's gone. I mean, you're the guy there. What has it been like, through the off season, into training camp, now into the season, being the leader and the veteran presence in that tight end room?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a different responsibility. I think there's more of a vocal aspect that I had to continue to embody. But I think that's something that's always been natural to me. But that's something that Cade did last year. And so I kind of had to take over that role with our unit. But I mean, we got a bunch of guys in this unit that we have leaders in this unit as well that do a great job for themselves. It's not like I'm around here babysitting. These guys do a great job for themselves. They got some tough guys in the room, and they all do good. But my whole mindset has just been development, just continuously show up and just be better. And I think, Coach Schlegel and I, we've had multiple conversations about that just throughout the weight room, just lifting, just showing up every day, being gritty and just getting better.
Yeah, I even visited practice and you and Donnie were out there working extra, and that's people don't see that, right? People don't understand that, and it goes far beyond the football field to get the extra work to be at your max capacity. We're going to talk a little bit about the faith aspect too in a minute. I want to ask you this: what the closeness of the team, the selflessness of the team? Give me some things that have stood out or examples of that from a football perspective that, have really encouraged you from just being one of the brothers out there, whether it's an individual or a unit or a coach. What are some of those things that people don't have insight into?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't say people don't have awareness of this, but I've been able to witness it for myself. Just seeing Quinshon Judkins come into here and the way Trey has just embraced him with open arms and just like, man, I just want to see you succeed. How can I help you? And they're constantly pushing each other and helping each other throughout practice. I'm watching them communicate like, hey, man, when you're doing this, this, and this, maybe you could have done this. And it's receptive. It's not like it's not any condescending behavior or anything like that. It's just genuinely wanting to see each other be great. And we trust and believe, like, when it comes to NFL scouts, like, that's their job, is to find the best guys in America that are prepared to go play in the NFL. All we need to do is show up, work hard, show up on Saturday, and play at our absolute best, and everything else down the line is going to take care of itself. But I've seen, just my hats off just to Trey, just the way he's embodied Q and brought him in, and has just been happy for his success. It's one thing to have another guy be successful, but it's another to be happy for their success and encourage them to keep going.
Yeah, that humility is a huge piece of it. And, let's talk a little bit about that, G, like the faith element that's come in. And we see guys going to the podium, with the Jesus One shirts and everything. And some people kind of dismiss some of that. I know you've been a big part of it. Emeka has, and I'd love to have Emeka on to talk about it as well. Unfortunately, he was traveling today. Trey came on, talked about it this summer. Kind of you three have been big leaders, and watching the transformation has been awesome for me from the outside. Like, speak a little bit about how this process has happened over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, I'll start off personally. Personally, I can just personally testify that the Lord came into my life and did something so miraculous that I've never really seen before. And it was and it's not something that happened externally. I didn't make $1 million. I didn't become the best football player to ever live. He did something in my heart that was kind of unexplainable. And ever since I've had that feeling in my heart, or the thing that he did in my heart and the changing that he's done in my heart, I've had a burning passion to share this with everybody that I can. And so that's kind of been my heart behind my leadership, if you will, to my teammates of faith. And I think other guys have hopped on board and they're doing the same thing. Like I've literally watched the transformation of Travion Henderson's life, Emeka's life, Xavier Johnson's life, Cameron Babb's life. Like, these guys' lives are changing. This isn't just some historical book that we're reading, a history fairy tale. No, this is real. And the moment that I came to that revelation, not because of just something that I read, but a true changing of my life, I couldn't help but to share this message with others. And I think other guys on my team has embodied that as well. And there's something very powerful in it, and I'm just glad to be able to do this with my teammates, and I think it's helping our camaraderie and our unity as a team as well, and it's drawing us very close.
Yeah, G1, I've already articulated this to you, but like, regardless of the weight room and regardless of how people play, it's the most significant thing. It's an eternal, not just in the present, right? Transformation. And really, I have seen as a team, and again, faith and other denominations or other religions, like, openly welcome, because you have multiple guys that are on the team and they're not ostracized. Like, it's beautiful, right? Like, we've already talked about the melting pot that is the locker room, the different backgrounds, the different nationalities, the different religions that are in there, and just watching you guys be able to profess that, but also live that, really helps go to all the other positions, regardless of where they are on that faith-based journey or or what they themselves believe. And that's where I really think a lot of the selflessness and the ability to want to serve each other has come from.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I kind of embody the mindset that they will know me by my fruit. I don't need to throw it in their face and tell them that, they need to do this or they need to do this. There's no better sermon you can give than the way you live your life. And I think that's the emphasis on the way I try to carry myself in my journey, although I do believe in evangelizing and sharing the good news. But I think I want my actions and my character. I don't just want you to see G. Scott. I want you to see Jesus Christ living in me and the Holy Spirit, what he can do.
It's been truly tremendous. And this is one thing, G, that I always find interesting. And when you ask guys, because football, it's a tough masculine sport. You're out there hitting dudes and you're lifting weights in the off season. And like, that's, toughness and this and that. So how do you handle the element of, being tough? Like, can you be a tough Christian out there on the field? Can you play hard and still be physical and do the things you need to do, but while also, you said, being humble, having gratitude and having respect, for the people that are around you? They'll know you by your fruit, as you said.
Yeah. I would say, I say that's a constant battle is being violently competitive. Like, I want to win so bad and being competitive. I remember I made like a little comment that like a first grader would make to another first grader. Like, I said something like you're dumb or something like that to IGB. And I felt this conviction. I came up to her at the practice. I'm like, man, I'm sorry for saying it. I'm not even lying. I came to her, I said it, bro, I'm sorry for saying that. And I honestly, it's a battle for me all the time. But I think despite your size or how much muscle you can attain or how big and strong you can get, I've literally seen this word of God bring God, and I'm going to put him out there. I don't care. He can get mad at me. It's my brother. I've seen JT Tuimoloau, this big, strong, arguably the best defensive end in college football. I've seen him break down crying in my arms because of the love of Jesus Christ. And there's this power in that. And so, but to your point, it is a battle, oftentimes being competitive, and also keeping the Lord at the forefront of, my mind. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, despite the activity I'm doing, I want him to reign through all the things that I do, whether I'm in the weight room, whether I'm on the field, just regardless of where I am.
I saw it on the field. I mean, turn the other cheek. I mean, you got guys chipping back, making sure that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wait, were you at practice? You were at practice, right?
I saw
I was messing with those guys. Yes, you're okay. Yeah. But yeah,
that's, the crazy thing is G, is like, people see this and guess what? I'm 43, Bob's in his 40s, and those are things that we continue to struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're things that we're continuing to work. It's not all of a sudden like, boom, you've arrived, right. And I just love seeing what you guys are doing. Listen, is there anything else? Because we have another bye week, right? So we got to see, before camp, and we had, a baptism and sharing of your faith there on campus, which I thought was absolutely amazing. Is there something else down the horizon? Are you guys doing another thing on the bye week, or are you using maybe a social media platform that's guys are sharing their testimony? Can you give some insight into that to where people can go witness that?
Yeah, I might be speaking of this prematurely, but I think we're planning on after that Oregon game, potentially hosting another event like that. But
nice.
That's not in concrete. And I think I'm prematurely speaking of that. It's all in the underground.
It's okay.
Work. But yeah. I think we do want to bring more ministry events like that, just to see the impact, like the true impact it really had on people. The testimonies that came after, the hundreds of people that messaged back after and they were in contact with, to see how transformative that night was for people. We can't help but not to want to do it again.
No, it's absolutely tremendous. And G, I told Trey this, I told Mac, I don't know if I told you, I know Will's been involved with some of this stuff. You guys have really grown it on the team. I love it as a dad, being for my kids to be able to see that. Thank you for being such great role models for our young people out there, when there's a lot of people that maybe aren't doing it the right way. So right. It means a lot to me, so I can show my 4 kids this. I know a lot of the other guys and former players feel the same way, so that they don't care about us. One day, G, your kids will think you're like an old man and it's no cool. They wouldn't like the young, cool dudes. And so the fact that you guys are out there, man, I really appreciate it. And I promised I'd have you out of here before 15. So I know you got a busy weekend. Get on out of here. Thanks for some time today, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, really, I thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother.
All right.
Brother. And that was G. Scott, Ohio State tight end, one of the best, one of the really involved with the faith movement at Ohio State. And you can see how impactful that is for each and every player there. Before we get out here, I want to tell you about X-Sport mouth guards. Parents, athletes, listen, protect what matters most with X-Sport mouth guards. Schlegel talks about it. They're trusted by professional athletes, and they're designed by NHL team dentists. There's nothing more important than your grill and your noggin. They're going to be scientifically designed to help you absorb the hits and keep you safe. Everybody gets these crazy new mouth guards now. These are the ones that you're going to want to get, folks. X-Sport mouth guards feature 3 layers of protection, patented carbon fiber. They're going to protect your unique smile with their 3D printing. These are state-of-the-art mouth guards here. They mean protection. They mean better performance. There's maximum comfort and clear communication, clearer than Schlegel and I are talking half the time. So you can focus on your game and not on your gear. Don't take any chances with your safety. Go to xsportguards.com/Bobby. You save 15%. Schlegel talks with it in all the time. Protect what matters most with X-Sport mouth guards. All right, coming up. Is Ryan Day too normal to be a big-time head football coach? Find out next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
Okay, welcome back in to the show. And it's like, how great was our guy, G. Scott? One of the best, one of the leaders on that team. And you can see why his journey, Schlegel, from like a wide receiver that's kind of oversized and transitioning to tight end and doing a really good job for the Buckeyes, and excited for his season this year as well.
Yeah, 1G's fantastic, and we've had a lot of really good, hard conversations. And, that's something that we all struggle with, right? It's like, I've talked about the chip that Mickey Maroney talks about all the time. If you have nothing to prove, you're never improve. And where is that line of that chippiness and that aggressiveness, and where does it go over, right? Over the line. And that's something that you're always constantly to have that you're working through and to be in check. But that's why you just get in the word, or that's why you have people around you to hold you accountable for different things like that. We're all a work in progress. And I'm just super proud of the guys in the team and how they're being bold, but also utilizing their platform to share their faith and the life change that they've experienced.
Absolutely. It's been phenomenal. And so someone who's talking about life-changing, Schlegel, Ryan Day, he gets the head coaching job at Ohio State. He came here as an assistant. He'd been an assistant in the NFL, been at Boston College before, but the last 4 or 5 years been in the NFL. All of a sudden he comes here, interim coach right away. Urban comes back. Then he ends up, leaving. Then he's the head coach at Ohio State. And it's kind of been a unique journey for me. It's the first time the head coach at Ohio State has really kind of been a contemporary of our age. Like, he's talking like when we played, which I'm like, yeah, there's like overlap, especially with you, Schlegel. I mean, I think, you are about his age. I'm a couple years younger. Our kids are the same age. And like, Ryan is a really normal dude, like down to earth guy, good husband, good father, like the type of guy that you'd want to get to know and hang out with. And the question became, we had Ari Wasserman on, I think, Schlegel, and I think he was the one that posed it. And him and Andy Staples sat down. We had Andy on last week, and they talked to him this week. And like, Ryan's a really normal dude. Like, is he too normal of a dude to be a head coach at a program like Ohio State, when you used to have guys like Urban and Saban and just how kind of fanatical they are? Is this the new normal, or is this an outlier?
I was watching something with Joe Klatt about Dan Lanning, and he kind of seemed the same way, kind of like just a good dude. And I don't know Dan very, very well, but I think 100%, I think you can. I mean, obviously Ryan Day has the second highest winning percentage in college football, only to Kirby Smart at Georgia. So we know that the man can win. I think it's in the day and age in which we live in college football and recruiting and the portal and all of those different things, the things that I respect the most about Ryan is the transparency that he has with his coaches and his players. And again, we talk about testimony. There's no greater testimony than seeing that example when you sit down with a Trevion Henderson and say, hey, here's what we're thinking. Here's the opportunity we have. How do you feel about it? Right? Like now it's like we're collaborating, but I want to make sure that you're right because I don't want to do something that negates what you say. Like you're coming back. You want to be the guy. Are you willing to embrace that? And again, I think everything happens for a reason. The transformation that G just talked about with Trey, the ability to have that. I was just talking to a high school coach today about, how we want our athletes when they're in the weight room to hold each other accountable. And I'm not necessarily coaching the person that's doing the training. I'm coaching the partner because that's what you do, right? You're talking about dude on dude accountability. I'm coaching the dude, right? Coaching the other dude. But that's where the team comes in. Even in off-season training, the guys themselves, we talk about +2 all the time in there. But then I think it was Donnie or somebody else, they just called it culture reps. And now dudes are coaching dudes doing culture reps, right? Like this is what we're about at Ohio State. But it's the players that did that, not coaches doing it. Like it doesn't work that way. The sustainability doesn't work that. It's always team player led is by far the best way. So Ryan's approach of being transparent, but also being fair, and G alluded to it too. It's the trust that the players have in the coaches to go win the games, right? Like everything that Ryan has talked about. Fun is winning. Fun is the work that allows you to win. Competitive excellence is something that we have to have here on a day in and day out basis. And then as they go through and they acquire talent and evaluate talent, we can be selective in the guys that we bring in because, again, for people forget about this. Most of the dudes on the team have been developed here over the course of that. They've just been selective in the ones that they brought in to increase competitive excellence throughout. So, yes, to go back to the question, Ryan Day, too normal to be a head coach. I think that it is a fresh approach, and I think that it will lead to sustainability for his job at Ohio State.
So here's the thing. I always tell people this with Ryan. I'm like, don't ever confuse kindness with weakness. It's like just like you're talking to G. Like just because someone's nice doesn't mean that they're soft. And I would say Ryan, he's a nice guy. He's a good guy, and he's different than Urban. He's different than Nick. And honestly, I think there's a reason why those guys are not coaching. And even Kirby Smart, and you see Dan Lanning, like other guys at the top. And Dabo, to his credit, has been like this. Ryan always said, like, love's the most powerful emotion. Like, love conquers all. People laugh at that, whatever. I'm like, guys, you would much rather play for someone and play with guys that you care about at a high degree than because you fear someone immensely. And I always go back to the Braveheart line with Robert the Bruce. Men fight for me because if they do not, I'll starve their wives and children and throw them off my land. They fight for William Wallace for something else. There's something greater. And men don't follow titles, they follow courage. And that the tough love, like iron sharpening iron, guys leaning in on each other, like that's a big piece of it. And I think that stems from Ryan. And I think this is the new era of coach you're going to have to be. This totalitarian dictator, like those days are done, man. Like with the transfer portal, deuces, I'm out. Tyreek Hill, Schlegel, everybody's going to be doing this, jog off the field. It's the why, as you so clearly articulated. Here's what we're going to do. It's going to be really hard. I care about you, and I want everybody to be the best. I want our team to be the best. Here's why we need to do that. And if you listen and you believe that I care about you, you trust me that I'm going to want what's best for you and our team, then you're all in. But for me, just sitting there and pounding and saying, this is how you do it. This is why, like, don't listen because I said so. That works for me with my kids sometimes, but I still have to explain it to them. And so the ability then to transcend that, develop those meaningful relationships, press on people, have guys press each other, because that's even better. Teams governed better by culture than by rules. They start challenging each other. That's when things really start going into effect. And that's when you can see these big changes ultimately starting to happen.
I'll tell you this. I got to chime in on this because we've seen a shift, and it's a good shift. Right back in the day, Bob, when you and I played, and everybody that's watching this that is over the age of 40, all right, it was very much a when, what, and why type mentality. It's more do it now than what am I doing, and then why am I doing it? And the shift, because of the information that everybody has, is flipped to where it's why, what, and when. So it's changed the way educators have to teach, coaches have to coach. They want to know the why, but when you are able to articulate that, one, it just validates that you know why you're doing it and not just copying and pasting and throwing stuff on the wall and hoping it sticks. Because you got to remember, like, as we build up guys, like even for spring football, they don't question why guys are running extra tempos in a certain position group because Mickey Marotti said so. He literally has told them, hey, we're accumulating volume. We have to get some extra stuff. The guys know exactly why, because it's preparing their tissue to go into spring football, and they just do it. And if he tells them to pick up the pace, they just do it. Doesn't necessarily mean that they like it, but they trust him that everything that he's doing is in their best interest. And I think the other thing, too, that we forget to mention is Ryan's hires throughout this process, keeping Mick, right? Again, Mick is the best at what he does, right? Then hiring a Jim Knowles, and again, evaluating, hiring a Jim Knowles, now hiring a Chip Kelly, everybody on the same page. You have Brian Hartline.
Bringing in a Schlegel on temp period in the middle of the summer.
Bro, bring him in, right? Whatever, right? But then James Laurinaitis, OG, guys that understand Ohio State.
OG's
but
Tim
again,
Walton, by the way.
Within the staff, though, guys, within the staff that he's created, you're still getting iron sharpens iron. You don't have to be the authoritative figure and the know-it-all of every single thing to be an effective leader, which sometimes I think back in the day, we thought that was the case. You know what I mean? And times have just changed. Sorry, I went long-winded.
That's okay. Schlegel, I mean, you love going long. Here we go. Buckeyes.
Long and hard.
Coming up next, we're going to see what's going on. There's a couple teams. Week 2. What are some of the biggest games and who desperately needs a win and to look good? Find out next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
That's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yep.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
All right, I said who needs to win in week 2? I mean, going into week 3, what are the teams that ultimately need to get some dubs, Schlegs? And as we look at this and break down some of these teams, give me a game out there, a team that you're seeing that is playing this weekend. Maybe they're 2-0, maybe they're 1-1, heck, maybe they're 0-2, and this is a program saver. What is a team that you want to start with that needs a win desperately?
I think I know where you're going to go, so I'm just going to go on to this one. I just look at the Notre Dame Purdue game.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, for me, Marcus, and again, the physicality of Purdue, I think they have like the most AP all-time I think Ben was
They
the
have
one
the
that
most
talked about this.
wins against AP top 5 teams.
I mean, honestly, like, what are we talking about, right? So you have that. You have the line of scrimmage. I think now again they played Indiana State, mind you, right? But I think they only gave up 100. Yeah, they only gave up 150 yards on defense. They rushed the ball very, very effectively. And again, they have the blueprint how to beat Notre Dame. It's in West Lafayette, right? Nobody likes that. I don't know if they've revamped the locker room since we were there, Bob, where it's like that. You remember that tiny little room that we had?
They renovated the stadium, and I think they updated that. I hope so.
I hope they didn't, because I love the fact that it should be crappy. Like, I don't want them to have good stuff. You're coming to our place. It should be terrible. But that being said, I think that that's the one, because if you can't go and beat a Purdue coming off of that, and again, the mindset shift and the coaches doing their job to prepare the players, and then you also look at the fact that Notre Dame is literally right now in the same conversation as, again, I love Air Force, but they have not thrown a touchdown pass all year in 2 weeks, right? So can we control the line of scrimmage? Yeah. Can we push the ball down the field? Like, really, this is a huge week for Marcus and Notre Dame in week 3.
All right. I'm going to go with another
Who do you got?
I'm going to go with the team, Schlegs, that is 0-2. And this isn't a game that's going to dramatically dictate whether they get in the playoff or not. They're 0-2 in their conference. They're not going to win the ACC. But Florida State, after losing to both Georgia Tech across the pond and then losing to Boston College, they had a bye week last week. You have Memphis coming to town. Now, Schlegs, Memphis is one of the best group of 5 schools you're going to find. There's a good chance that they could potentially be the at-large group of 5 team that gets in as a conference winner. And do you know where Mike Norvell used to coach?
Oh, yeah, Memphis.
So they can't come in and get him in his own shop. And they've got so many transfers. You lose this game, Schlegs, like, there's worry, like, you could lose a team. And so I know it's not like looking out here, big deal, playoff implications. Heck, they can't even win the ACC, really. I severely doubt it. But they've got to win this. He's built a program there. I mean, they were undefeated last season, right on the doorstep of the playoff. They've got to find a way to get a win. All right, you give me one more team now, and I'll give you one more after that.
Okay, all right. Then I'm going to go with Oregon State. And it's simply for this. It's simply, and you can expound upon this one because we're probably thinking the same thing. But Oregon State, they have rushed the football. And that's the one thing, right? Like, we Boise showed them, like, it was a really close game. They ran the football for 190-something yards because they got one of the best running backs in college football. But they turned the ball over. Boise had, 4 sacks in that game. The line of scrimmage for Oregon, like, that's the thing that we're waiting to see. Like, Dylan Gabriel, great quarterback and all, but, like, can they control the line of scrimmage and win this game? Again, rivalry game. The Pac-2 just got elevated to the Pac-6, right? It's a rivalry game. First time it's ever been played in September. Huge week for Oregon. Huge week for Oregon.
It is. It's a big one. I concur with that. Like, Oregon needs a win, but they also need to look good, like, doing it. They can't go out there and mull around. It's going to be a game. If this doesn't have your attention, Schlegs, after Idaho and Boise State, this is the Civil War. I know they can't call it that anymore. I don't care about the political correctness of it. It's fine. It's a football game. They're going to play hard. People care about this thing on both sides. And if you can't get ready to go as the Oregon Ducks, I don't know what you're ultimately talking about. The last one for me, I mean, this is a big game, and it's not like critical crazy for each of these teams because they're both undefeated. But you have Arizona and Kansas State. It's the only top 20 matchup. It's on top 25 matchup on Friday night tonight. It's one of the very few ones they're going to see. And both of those teams, like, if you want to wrestle control away the Big 12, like, this will put you in the driver's seat. Next week, I believe, or in 2 weeks, we have Oregon State and Utah. That's going to be another big delineator. So this is a critical one because I think Kansas State may play Oregon State soon. Whatever. I get my scheduling all confused here, but that's another big one for one of these teams. They're going to get it an auto bid. They've got to win the game, though. They've got to get it taken care of. All right, coming up next, we've got our headlines brought to you by our friends at Affinity Whole Health. Oh, what's going on at the team up north, Schlegs? Lawsuits aplenty. Find out next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bobby Carpenter. I want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Affinity Whole Health, the leaders in the testosterone replacement industry. I've been on a testosterone replacement program for a few years right now, and I've got to tell you, it's been an absolute game changer. Affinity Whole Health has allowed me to be the best version of myself, both mentally and physically. I loved how easy it was to get started. I booked my free consultation, met with my prescriber, checked my numbers, and Affinity Whole Health designed a program that was customized to fit my needs. So I'm telling you guys, if you have low energy, you want to get rid of that spare tire around the waist, or take it to the next level in the bedroom, Affinity Whole Health is the place to get started. So don't wait any longer. 5 minutes of your time, book your free consultation. You're going to love the way you feel. It's headline time here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. And hey, listen, make sure if you're watching, please like, subscribe, leave your comments, your questions, anything there we appreciate. Give us a follow in whatever vehicles you're looking at. If you're watching us on Buckeyes, thank you as well. All right. We're brought to you by Affinity Whole Health here. Affinity Whole Health, they offer personalized treatment plans to help you feel better, whether you're struggling with maybe some weight gain, muscle loss, poor sleep, whatever it is. They can help you get feeling better and be the best version of yourself. They've got expert guidance and support to help you safely reach your goals. And they have all of Ohio covered with locations in Cleveland. They've got them up in Columbus. They're fantastic. They're in Indy. They're in Chicago. Set up your free consultation by going to affinityWholeHealth.com. That is affinityWholeHealth.com, just like I did. All right, Schlegs, team up north. Got some issues. Obviously, they struggled and lost to Texas, but some off-the-field stuff now as well. They've got ex-Michigan players now suing both Michigan and the Big Ten for $50 million in compensation. They are alleging that the NCAA, Big Ten, Michigan have systematically exploited these iconic moments that they put on their networks, that the players created during their careers at Michigan. The lawsuit is on behalf of those players who played at Michigan before 2016. Why is 2016 significant, Schlegs? Do you have any idea?
Didn't it go into effect? I thought it went into effect in 2019.
I
there was like a
believe
stop date, or
I believe the stop is 2016 for the NCAA settlement. I believe it's 2016 and after, because I remember Joshua Perry's like, "Why 16? I'm in 15." Like, where someone, whoever doesn't get picked, it's like arguing about the 5th team in the playoff the last 10 years. Like, whoever doesn't, the year before they stop, everyone's like, "What about me?" But you got big names in this thing: Braylon Edwards, Mike Martin, Sean Crable, Denard. The Denard dog Robinson, all being a part of it. I want to say it's not totally with Michigan. Like, it's not all on them, but it's just not a great look for the school, if you ask me.
Well, I go back and I'm just looking at, Braylon Edwards, and I'm surprised, he's probably not suing Ohio State for that 2004 victory that we had when they were number 1 in the Big Ten. Then they went to the Rose Bowl and lost to Texas, and now we beat their face in here at home in 2004. And the Denard, I'm surprised that they're not suing, Zach Bourne. Wasn't he the one that Zach Bourne was standing over when he tackled him? I don't remember, right? Like that could have been it. But, I understand why they're doing it. I don't know how it all plays out, right?
Can we get a couple shekels out of this, Schlegs? Like, that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, is it for all? Like, is this like one of the things where it's like, it's a trickle down effect? Now we're just gonna throw everything. I mean, hey, guess what? Man, just come be a sponsor of the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Look at that right
throw
there.
somebody that way. I mean, like, what are we talking about, right? Sounds amazing. So I don't know how it's going to work, right? Like, I don't know if they're just lawyers or they're lawyering up and they're just going to take a percentage of it or what, but it doesn't affect me. So you know how I am, Bob.
This is my NCAA check from our name, image, and likeness stuff. I don't know if you can see that on there, what it was for.
I never got one of those.
I think for like $1,400. I was like, you know what? Little like mini vacation, go to like a huge dinner with a bunch of people. Wasn't all that bad, but yeah, that was that. So maybe my address got thrown up on there too. Good news, it's our couple addresses ago. I always keep that up there, Schlegs. right by my diploma. I said, there's 2 things that I got at Ohio State while I was in college. I got that diploma. I got this check right here, buddy. So you know what? Not too bad.
Charge it to winning, Bob. Charge it to winning.
So put that bad boy back there on the shelf. Yeah, so it's interesting. There's so much litigation. I know they're trying to work through that lawsuit right now, the one that's currently going on, the House case, and it's Ohio State's bye week. So
MDen. Yeah.
they're trying to work through and trying to figure that out. And there's a lot of issues that they have to go. And the main thing that they want to get is a 10-year hiatus on stuff like this. So everybody agrees to it. There's a settlement, and there won't be any more lawsuits for 10 years. And then I guess they're in the midst of it. And I don't know if it was the judge. I think it was the plaintiff's lawsuit on the House side. Like, well, anybody can sue anyone for anything. And they're like, that's true. That's why we're getting this settlement in place. So for 10 years, there's not going to be any more of this because the NCAA is putting out like 3 or 4 different fires right now. And it's just taking a lot of effort away from everything else. I don't know if the NCAA is the right vehicle moving forward, if you will, to govern all of this, but there still needs to be some level of oversight, and they're trying to figure all that out right now.
I think it's just more than just somebody. I know, but like, because
deep sighs, deep breath.
The issue is bigger than the NCAA. It has to go to where, honestly, there needs to be a College Football Players Association. There needs to be one governing body for college football, and it needs to eliminate the AYOs and get the ones that want to be serious about football. And that's our conference. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be one that's smaller. We've seen it, from the FCS and Division, that was 1AA, right? Like it was Division I, Division I AA. Then it's like all these different things. It doesn't matter. It's just like high school ball, Division I, Division II, Division III that we have in Ohio. Guess what? It's opposite in Texas. It's Division 6, 5, 4, 3. It doesn't matter, right? But they're all playing good ball. There's money out there for all of them because people want to absorb content. We already know.
Vertical, count them sideways.
Exactly, because we already know, like, football is king. We see it from the NFL. Nobody has more eyeballs than they do in the NFL. People want to watch college football. Boom. There's going to be revenue to be able to go around. That's why you're seeing the Pac-12 do what they're trying to do. They got money from when everybody exited. Now they're going out and they're utilizing that money, and they're buying some teams. They're going to be, hey, guess what? Who wants to come back over to this side, right?
It's great. Like, you bought all your friends in life. I mean, when you got to pay for your friends, come people to hang out. Like that's really what it's all about,
Let's just all come together and just play some football and generate some revenue. All right.
Well, got to get people at the games. First of all, that's the biggest problem in the Pac-12. Most of the schools that left, outside the ones that came to the Big Ten, they don't really have a lot of people that show up. And UCLA is even included in that bunch, even though they're here. All right, we're going to take another quick break. Coming up next, we got some tailgate talk, which is tremendous. And we have a little Thoughtful Thursday, even though it's on a Friday. We get it the next day from my guy, Mr. Tim Walton. So stay tuned, stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
They're off in the Kentucky Derby as Authentic takes them around the far turn. Tis the Laws making his move now, and they're into the stretch. These two stride for stride. Authentic, tis the Law. Here's the wire. Authentic has won the Kentucky
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
Building a home for the people who are worth it. Stepping out, throwing in a line, and dropping the tailgate for a picnic. And finding far-off campsites with the people you're closest to. Upgrade your truck, Jeep, or Bronco with over 1 million parts and accessories. And bring your truck to life. Real Truck.
All right, so now, Schlegs, we're going to get to the best part, the tailgate talk. It's what we love, and tailgate talk is brought to you, as you just saw, by Real Truck, the #1 truck accessory brand in the United States with top-selling upgrades for the ultimate tailgate party. We should know, Schlegs, got all kinds of stuff. We threw the covers on the back. I got a nice little brush guard for the front of my Jeep. I got a winch on there, too. Real Truck hooked it up and took care of all of it. So gear up this season and bring your truck to life, as you said, Schlegs. Resurrect the truck at realtruck.com. My truck's alive. So is your truck. You know what? Before we get into it, we got one good question that I really want to get to. I want to make sure we hear Tim Walton on his Thoughtful Thursday because, I mean, listen, that's the thing that everybody wants to hear. I threw out there on Twitter. It was the bye week, Schlegs. I had to ask him at practice if that was something that he wanted to do. And he was still going to do it even though on the bye week. He said yes. So let's fire that up, Pat.
You must see beyond your circumstances. VYBO equals visualizing yourself beyond ordinary. Dreams must move from the big idea to the amplification phase. 6 ways of inspiration to help your visualization. Expectancy, focus, effort, attitude, and environment. Put yourself in a position in life to make a play, then go make the play. All right? You got to visualize yourself, man, what? Beyond your circumstances, man. There's a difference between vision and sight. All right? We got to have vision, and then the what? The big idea must turn into the what? The amplification phase. Everybody good with that? Hey, take care of your business, man.
I love it. I love
them.
Our guy, Tim, your thoughts, Schlegs. Visualization and psyche.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, vision is not sight, right? It's like you got to see beyond your circumstances. And he's talking to a bunch of guys. Some guys are on the field, some guys are not on the field. But again, that's where we talk about mental reps over practice reps. Like you still got to be engaged. Everybody has an opportunity. The culture reps are fantastic. That's really what it is, right? So I love that. You got to see beyond your circumstances. I think too many times we as just adults, we can't see beyond our circumstances. He also talked about the big idea to taking it to implementation. That's the hardest thing, right? We all got these dreams and aspirations, but how do you execute? How do you implement it? Then he said, visualize yourself beyond ordinary. And again, this is one thing that I speak life to my daughter all the time. Like, you are elite. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Now, does that mean that she's perfect all the time? No. It's like, hey, you also got to be flexible and adaptable. When she's very stubborn and very prideful, it's like,
where'd she get that from?
I don't know. Probably me. But that being said, hey, he just talked about visualize yourself beyond the ordinary. Tim's fantastic. He's speaking life to these dudes on a daily basis. All right,
Schlegs, we had this one thrown in the comments section on our last show. I thought it was pretty entertaining and pertinent since it's on the bye week. You know, don't worry about the game that isn't happening too much. He said, since you worked with the guys this offseason, maybe the strongest dude in some of the position groups that you worked with.
Ooh, G's one of them. G's definitely probably one of the strongest tight ends in there. Will Kazmarek is also very, very, very strong.
Will's huge though. I mean, Will's like
Will got big. Like Will got bigger and stronger, right? I mean, you know, so he was one of them. You know, defensively, and I kind of had the guys that needed to like be dudes, right? It's like, I'll tell you another one. Ian Moore is like super strong lower body wise. You know, K-Mac, like some of those defensive linemen. And I just see some of the guys that,
for those that don't know,
exactly. And I see some of the guys that are working with Coach Mick, and I'm watching them. Like, Hugh is extremely strong and powerful. But to me, one of the things that I enjoyed watching the most was just the competitiveness of guys, right? And one of the hardest, most like competing dudes in the building is JT. Like, he was that type of dude all the time. You know, we talk about JJ. Like, JJ just won everything. JJ just wins. He just shows up and works. But that's
what it's win, no matter what.
Exactly, Bob. Like, there's levels to this things. But, you know, as far as like strong, you also got to remember too, guys, when you're training collegiate athletes, like, it's not like we're handing t-shirts out for how much you squat or how much you bench or whatever, right? There's levels to this. At some point, are you strong enough to be able to do what you need to do? Then we need to take some of that focus and apply it to the things that you're lacking, whether that's you need more power, maybe you need more ability work. Like, I learned from myself, like, hey, listen, it's great that you can squat over 600, deadlift over 7. That necessarily did not make me a better football player. We don't need your humble
brags anymore,
Schlegel. No. But it was like, no. But here's a realization.
I'm gonna cut you off. The realization is you're done. Time is up. Due to the week.
You're at 50.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
It's just, that's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
All right, now in our last minute, Schleg's Dude of the Week. Always remember, dude isn't a gender, dude's a lifestyle. It can be anyone from anywhere that's getting some respect and love this week from you for being a dude. What we got?
J.K. Dobbins, ACL, Achilles, 10 for 135 yards and a touchdown for the Chargers.
I like that. JK's great dude. We saw him on McAfee. He's been bouncing around. I'm going to get him on the show, dude. I'm going to get him. I text him. He texts me right back. LaGrange, Texas. He's your boy. You would love him. He's a great guy. All right. I'm going to go with someone who maybe didn't have the biggest statistical game. 1 catch, 4 yards. And they asked Marvin Harrison Jr. about, why does he not have more catches and this and that? Hey, my job's to run routes, get open. I'm going to do the very best that I can. You hear a lot of receiver Schlegs running their yappers. Not Marvin. He's one of the good dudes. I love him. He's going to be great. They'll get him going down there in Arizona. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in. It's a bye week. Next week, we will be back in action, ready to rock for Marshall Week for the Ohio State Buckeyes here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.